Good afternoon and welcome to the live draw announcement for this year's the 68th annual BC High School Boys AAA Basketball Championships. We're back here at the Langley Event Center. I'm Chris Kennedy, part of the tournament committee, and I'm joined here by high school sporting guru, Vancouver Province newspaper reporter, Howard Samura. Howard, we're back here again. Isn't it the best time of year?
It is. What a fun morning. I've just been anxious all morning, and it's been a fun one just, getting a sneak peek at this thing and really getting ready for a great tournament this year.
And when we look at this year, the teams that are here in the tournament and the top seeded teams coming in are really the same teams that were right at the top of the beginning of the year.
Yeah, we looked at the preseason rankings and who dominated then, and we've seen some dips, some rises as we always do because it's so competitive, but they've kind of come back to where they started this season, and I think that's going to be real fun to watch.
Your Kitsalanos, your Walnut Groves, your White Rock Christians, your Yales, those teams all in your top 5, top 10 at the beginning of the year, they're all here at the tournament.
They are, and really neat to see that these teams have fulfilled what the promise was we did in the preseason. We actually did our preseason poll based on what the coaches around the province thought was going to happen this year, and those teams were clearly, by the coaches looked at as the big four, and that's what's happened here as we head into the tournament.
We're going to go through the 20 that are in the tournament, but before we do that, anybody not here that surprises you?
You know what? There's some real good teams in the Valley that didn't make it, and that just shows you how tough it is. Teams that didn't make it, a team like a Lord Tweedsmuir, people thought might make their first appearance in a real long time. But the big surprise is obviously Tamanois from Surrey as high as number 3 in the rankings, and a Kelowna team that really showed some promise to be a great team coming out of the Okanagan just didn't make it. And that's the toll of the road of attrition.
Well, let's go and look at the draw. And we'll take our first look at the Tuesday matchups. Tuesday, this is our last year of the 20-team tournament, actually.
Yeah.
We'll be back probably to 16 next year as we go to 4A, but 20 teams, so 8 playing on the Tuesday. And that first game that we're going to look at on the Tuesday is in the red bracket there. We're looking at Sir Winston Churchill against Pitt Meadows. So you get a Valley mainland first game to look at. What do you think?
Well, this is the toughest game, I think, of the 4 play-in games on the Tuesday. Both teams, Chris, in the rankings at some point this season, both teams have incredible potential to make some noise in this tournament. So you get a real tough matchup on the opening day. I think that's a great entertainment value for the fans. But these teams are both super quality teams.
And then we go to our next game. We're going to move down in the brackets, go to the green bracket, and we got Burnaby Mountain, Caledonia. First time for Burnaby Mountain. Tell their story. Well,
Greg Maddock, who was coaching at Burnaby South a couple of years ago, got them into the tournament, moved over to Burnaby South a couple of seasons ago, and great coaching and really getting buy-in from his kids. They're small, they're active, but they play so hard. Not surprised to see them here with their big hearts. They are a team to watch, and I think Caledonia is going to get a real battle here in this game.
Caledonia is here a lot, but probably Burnaby Mountains we're looking for to go through in this one.
I think would be considered the favorite just by the strength of schedule and the teams they've played this year. They've played a number of teams ranked in the top 10.
And if we're going to have a repeat champion, that repeat champion is going to have to start on the Tuesday. We go to the next game. We get Terry Fox, North Peace. Can Terry Fox go all the way?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Steve Hansen, the head coach here, you might have to say him and his coaching staff are like coaches of the year. I mean, the way they took a young team with one player, really, Trevor Casey, coming back, and they're so grade 10 oriented. They've done just a terrific job to get through the Valley, in that top 8. And I think they are going to give North Peace everything they can handle in that opening game.
And then we go to our final game that we'll look at in our yellow bracket, Enver Creek, Mount Baker.
Enver Creek from Surrey really played a lot of games this year, won a ton of games. I think they won 35 games this season. Faltered a bit when they had to play some of the top-ranked teams, but won the games they had to win. That is a real tough team coming out of Surrey. People thought Tamanois would be there over Enver Creek, but here's Enver Creek from Surrey, the public school, really getting a good shot to move into that main group of 16.
So we look at our 8 teams that play Tuesday. Who's the best team that plays on the Tuesday?
The best team out of that group there, I would have to say right now, based on what they've done, is Winston Churchill. Just a few weeks ago, beat Kitsilano, who are one of the best top 4 teams in the province. So that shows you the potential and the strength in that play-in group, that Winston Churchill is a very good team.
And probably that Churchill Pitt Meadows, probably the best game of the day?
Without question, the best game of the day. That's a flip the coin and see what happens. Great coaching there, and I think we're going to get real like second, third day action, that kind of atmosphere in that opening round game.
That's great. So we're going to move to our Wednesday, but first a couple other events that we want to highlight that are part of this year's tournament. First one I want to talk about is the Decades of Champions Banquet. Fans, we'd like to remind you to reserve your seat for the second annual Decades of Champions dinner happening Saturday, March 16th at the Langley Event Center Banquet Hall at 5 p.m. Tickets are $24 for the dinner or $35 for the dinner and the game. A great way for you and your friends to get a good meal in before the championship game. For more information, call 604-882-8800. Decades of Champion, great way to remember all of those teams, the wonderful history that we have of this tournament. Other event to highlight is the BC High School Basketball All-Star Game. The Langley Event Center, in conjunction with Basketball BC, is proud to host the 2013 BC High School Basketball All-Star Game here in the Langley Event Center Gymnasium. Come see the best in high school basketball, girls and boys, on Sunday, April 21st. Girls play at 2 p.m., boys play at 4. For more information, visit thelangleyeventcenter.com, and tickets are available at Ticketmaster. We're going to get to the Wednesday draw now, but let me just come back to that. 25 years ago, I know you're a big history fan. The best team, according to you?
And a poll of coaches around the province. So we did in our newspaper a few years ago, Chris. I'll tell the story. Is we set up an imaginary bracket, plucked the 16 best teams we thought were out there in the history of this tournament, and played them through week by week in a bracket. And the Richmond Colts of 1988 came out on top as the #1 team of all time. And we talked earlier the significance of a 25-year anniversary of that team winning it, and they were an incredible team to watch.
A rich history, 68th year, and yet 25th anniversary of what Howard Samura says is the greatest ever high school basketball team in this province. Let's go to our Wednesday draw and go to our first game that we're going to take a look at on the Wednesday. And so we're our Wednesday, and you see Burnaby South in there against Sardis in our first game. Sardis, a school with a long history, but not a long history in this tournament.
You know what? 80 years old is the school, and it's the first time in 80 years that they've come to the tournament. 80 years, to think of that. Chilliwack hasn't even had a team in here in exactly 20 years, so there's some big-time celebrating going on at Sardis, and that will be a great game between two very, very good teams. Burnaby South beating St. George's recently, were ranked to start the season, dipped a bit, but they're back. I think they've really got their identity back as a great defensive team. You're going to see a very, very good game between those two teams.
First game on the Wednesday morning, and a really competitive one we've got there. We go to our next game. We're going to finish off this with the red bracket, and we've got Walnut Grove. Everybody's coming to check out Walnut Grove. You know, they're the team. Aren't they the team?
They are. You look at what Walnut Grove has done, because their body of work against the Big Four teams in the province this year, the fact that they made it to the final last year, and the fact that Jaden Cohey, has continued to improve with that deep group of players. They have size inside. They have shooters galore. They have everything, and whoever gets there is going to get a heck of a game.
So we look at Walnut Grove, maybe Churchill, maybe Pitt Meadows. Do either of those teams give Walnut Grove a game?
Well, you know what? I think Walnut Grove is that strong. I mean, we look at what they've done in winning the Fraser Valley, championship yesterday. They're firing on all cylinders at just the right time, and I think it's going to take a perfect game from either Pitt or Churchill to pull a huge upset if they're to get past that early obstacle in the round of 16.
So we go to our green bracket now, and we got Claremont and St. George's. What do you think?
I think you look at that on paper and you say St. George's, based on their schedule, has really scheduled tough and has played a lot of tough teams. And, St. George's slipped up against Burnaby South. Burnaby South playing well right now, as we mentioned. That loss forced them into a sudden elimination situation, and they've won it. They also had to beat the Irish, in a 2-game series. So they're used to that playoff pitch right now. For the last 3 weeks, they've been playing basically in the playoffs. Their situation. So I think they'll be ready. But Claremont is a team that has dominated on the island against Oak Bay, who are the #1 team there. They're actually 3-1 against the team that had the best record on Vancouver Island. So you can never discount this Claremont team, a deep team as well. And I think that's going to be another great game.
And it's Coach Disbrow bringing his third school. He was here with Van College last year and the year before. He's been here with Richmond High. Can he take a third team and maybe pull them through? Now, last coach to bring a third team here, Paul Eberhardt. 2 years ago with his third school at Palmer. We know what happened when Palmer was here.
They-
Can Disbro do the same thing?
Well, we talked about, is there a team that maybe it's a bit off the radar? Can they do it? That St. George's team would appear to be one of the candidates. Drew Urquhart's a very impressive grade 11 player, a big guy playing inside, but they're coming together right now, and they're still a little bit inconsistent, Chris. So if that all comes together, St. George's can be, like a Fox last year, a team set to make a run through the tournament.
And we go and finish off our green bracket. We've got Yale getting that winner of the Burnaby Mountain Caledonia game. Talk about Yale.
Real talented. J.J. Pankratz, big wingspan, and one of their forwards who's going to Simon Fraser next year, very impressive. Bennett Boire, their young guard, is as strong a young player as you'll see with the ball and handling the ball. So Al Friesen's team's always super mentally tough, and I think they're going to be ready. Burnaby Mountain, we will say, though, lost to them by 11 early in the season. So this Burnaby Mountain team can be tough to prepare for, and if they come out shooting well and playing with energy, I think they can give Yale, a test. I think Yale, though, is a huge favorite in that game.
So we'll go over to the blue bracket now, and we've got South Kamloops playing the winner of a challenge game, Oak Bay and Belmont. What about this game?
Well, Oak Bay, I think, was generally thought to be the power on the island. But their inability to beat Claremont puts them in this situation. They lost in the Island Championship game. Belmont gets the challenge there. South Kamloops comes on late as well, wins a huge overtime game against Kelowna, who was ranked all year but had some real issues in terms of injuries and a lot of different things that were obstacles. So this is a real unexpected matchup here. And two teams that, should Belmont win that game on the Tuesday before and win the play-in situation there. This is, I think, a matchup nobody would have predicted at the start of the season. I think Oak Bay is still the favorite there against Belmont, and we'll see what they can do. Oak Bay, if it gets to that game, I think based on its provincial ranking, would be the favorite in the game.
And then we finish off our blue bracket with the Lower Mainland champs from Kitsilano, and they get the winner of that Terry Fox North Piece, probably Terry Fox. Kitsilano Terry Fox. Those are the kind of games of the last 20 years. Those are big basketball games.
Those are Final Four Friday games.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's amazing. Hey, we mentioned the job the coaches at Fox did, and they are so young at the guard spots, but they're going to be so dynamic in years to come. They get here this year. What a great opportunity for them. I know they want to go and keep winning as many games as they can. That Kitsilano team, though, got rocked hard by the flu in early January, from being number one for about 6 or 7 straight weeks to really suffering a number of key losses. But Luka Zaharjevic is just a great inside player. Justin Z, their guard, one of the best big game shooters in this province. Kitsilano's got a ton of weapons. And coming through, winning the mainland, I think they're battle tested and they're ready. And they would be the favorite in this game.
And then we go down to our yellow bracket, and we've got W.J. Mowat and Handsworth. Is this Handsworth team like those Handsworth teams we see here many years? Are they that good?
Well, they don't have Robert Sacre.
That's true.
but no, I think Blair Shire's done a great job, with the Handsworth program, and just the fact that that Howe Sound tournament, the true double knockout tournament, that they had to beat Sentinel back-to-back nights after losing to that same Sentinel team earlier in the tournament. I think that said a lot about where they are in terms of their composure and their ability to to deliver a big game against Mowat. But hey, this Mowat team, they've been up, they've been down, they're on the upswing right now, and Tristan Etienne, their big guy inside, is a dynamic player. They beat Tamanois by, like 30 points.
Mowat teams can win by 30, can lose by 30.
Yeah, I mean, they've lost 14 or 15 games, but they've won a ton of them as well. It just depends on where they are on the day, and if they're on, they can be as dangerous as any team in the province.
And then we got our final couple teams, our final bracket to look at, White Rock Christian, and they'll get the winner of Enver Creek Mount Baker.
Boy, that White Rock team is good too. I mean, you look at these 4 quadrants here, and there's a number 1 team in each one. There's clearly White Rock is that team, losing in the Valley Final, but having real good success this year against many of the top teams, including Walnut Grove this season. So White Rock Christian with Tyus Allen, Vartan Tanalian, Peter Spengel. It's a deep team. I think it's way deeper than people thought at the start of the year. People might have thought there was only 1 or 2 guys on this team, but they made a nice run last year at the tournament, and these guys have come back with a will this year to win. And I think they're as good as any team in the draw here.
I think when we sat in these seats last year, we said there were 7 or 8 teams that had a chance to win it. I look at these brackets, and I see favorites in each one. You see Walnut Grove, you see Yale, you see Kitsilano, you see White Rock Christian. Pretty obvious 4 top teams, don't you think?
Yeah, they are. They are the top 4 teams. And really interesting numbers. And I'll look down at my notes just so I don't make a mistake here. But Walnut Grove was 2-0 against Kits this year. Kits was 2-0 against White Rock Christian. White Rock Christian was 2-1 against Walnut Grove. Yale lost to Kits and Walnut Grove. Didn't play those big 3 as much. But that shows you the parity among the big 4. And when you look at this draw and you see them plugged in each corner of this bracket, they go in as the favorites. And we'll see if somebody can step in. You know, is it a Mowat? Is it a St. George's? Who is it going to be? Can someone disrupt the path of these top 4 teams?
You look at the draw. Do you think those are the teams? Mowat, St. George's. If you picked who is going to be this year's Terry Fox and make it through, is it one of those schools?
Yeah, I do. I think they've got a good shot. I think the winner of the Burnaby South Sardis game, albeit would have to just have a massive upset in the second round. They're all quality teams, and we'll see what can happen. But as you look at it, I think St. George's is a team, just based on what they've done over the last 3 or 4 weeks, that I think is really improving rapidly. A young core, and their big guy inside is so young and learning the game and coming into his own so quickly. Who knows what could happen here?
And this is going to be a Lower Mainland, Fraser Valley dominated tournament. That's what I'm seeing.
It is, because our Okanagan rep is not of the same level that Kelowna was, or the Kelly Olynyk South Cam team of many years ago, and because it's not a Robert Sacre type Handsworth team, those single zone strength zones are not as strong as they've been in past years. And clearly, you're right. That puts the impetus on the Valley and the Mainland with their 13 teams.
So we've kind of got a sense of who the 4 are. You got to get 4 down to 1. So if you're looking at that tournament right now, who's your number 1? Who's winning this thing?
Well, I mean, I'll always do it based on the fact that doing the rankings over the course of the year, looking at comparative scores and looking how they performed against each other, I really think Walnut Grove, is the team that comes in with the greatest credentials and has, I think, the best opportunity to win, based on what they've done in the course of this season, but also the fact that they got to that championship final last year, and they lost in such heartbreaking fashion.
Been there and want to come back and have another chance at it.
Yeah,
right?
You lose in the last 2 seconds of a basketball game. I don't think you're forgetting about it for even more than a year, and I think these guys remember that. I think it really gives them a purpose, and they've got a great young player, Mayorga, who's come into that group in the front line that really gives them a different dimension. So I think this team is complete, and I think this team is ready.
And they get that little hometown advantage here in Langley. Walnut Grove back in, if they can make it back to the final, they turn their people out here for the tournament.
They do.
They?
They'll get a nice crowd, but I'll tell you right now, as I say that, I know that the White Rocks and the Kits and the Yale kids are going, hey, we're going to show you. That's why this is such a great tournament. I can't wait.
It should be great this year, and we don't have that spring break problem. Where a lot of our schools are off on spring break while the tournament's on. Schools are in session. The buses are going to be coming with kids. It leads into our spring break. The championship game just on the Saturday night as spring break starts. Everything everything the way it should be.
Everything's aligning here for a great week. You're right, Chris.
This is, and it has become the home of basketball championships. 9 tournaments, I think, here next year. Isn't it something like that?
It is going to be incredible. Yeah, I mean, we're going to get junior boys and junior girls one week. We're going to get boys 1, 2, and 3 tiers in the second week, and then the girls 2A, 3A, and the brand new boys 4A in that last week. So it's going to be 3 weeks of absolute madness here at the LEC. It'll be great.
You will be in heaven. Yeah. You and the Dole Whip machine.
The Dole Whip machine. I want to get a lounge seat there on court that I can roll my computer out and just watch. But it's going to be fun. It's going to be awesome.
Before we go, take a look at some of those players to watch. I know you know the players probably better than anybody else in this province. Who are some people I should be looking for in the tournament? Well,
we're going to show you some pictures here. And here's Luka Zaharjevic from Kitsilano, 6'8", dominates inside. You can see the strength of the physique, but this kid can pass the basketball. And it really gives Kits an entirely new dimension. So I think Luka's going to be one of these kids you're going to see, really it's his time to shine in this tournament for Kitsilano. Drew Urquhart, we mentioned him a couple times off the top, 6'7", forward out of St. George's, a Kelowna native, moved down this year, still has another year left and is already getting some good looks from Utah State, Gonzaga showing some interest. So this is a kid who Bill Disbrow has moved into into a real spotlight position at St. George's. Declan Chung is another great player there. They've got some really good talent there, but I think Drew is a guy that gives them some versatility. He makes them unique in a lot of different ways. Mindy Minhas, Sir Winston Churchill. Mindy in grade 11, I've seen this kid play since he was in the 6th grade, and he is a phenomenal multi-skilled player, 6'4", but can put it on the floor, really is at home in the open floor and can dominate. I believe scored 50-plus points against Sir Charles Tupper in an exhibition game earlier this season. If this kid gets on a roll, and that's Rick Lopez giving him some instruction there in that picture, he can just take over. And Mushiana, the provincial team player, the senior up front as well, gives them some nice versatility in the front court. Hayden Lejeune, Sardis, we talked about the 80-year dry spell. I think Hayden Lejeune, a huge reason why the Sardis team is in the provincial tournament this year. He's a big kid. You see the size, but as well, comfortable playing away from the basket. Really has a lot of guard skills. The big key for Hayden Lejeune, staying out of foul trouble, that was a bit of an Achilles heel this year. keeping Lejeune in the game because so much revolved around what he did. If he can stay in the game and dominate, they've got guys like Rogers who can shoot the basketball, and that makes Sardis a real dangerous team. Tristan Etienne from Mowat, amazing story. Underwent open heart surgery last year, and partway through the season still came back to play. And as a grade 10. This year in grade 11 is showing signs of obviously being the leader on that Mowat team. Corey Hawk is a nice young guard who plays in tandem with him, and I think the Mowat team is really starting to come together at the right time, and Tristan's a guy who can really dominate inside. And J.J. Pankratz from Yale, as we mentioned, Simon Fraser-Bound. This kid has great wingspan, and if you want to watch a team play, Yale loves to get the ball in transition when it can. J.J.'s a guy who can get a board for you and finish on the break. He is an incredible runner of the floor and a real leader. Bennett Boer, their young guard as well. We mentioned Abe Falls as well. Yale's got a lot of depth, but Pankratz is a guy who plays big in big games for them. And Jaden Cohey, what can you say? How many grade 10s can lead their team or be a huge catalyst to lead your team into a BC AAA final as Jaden did last year, and so driven, so determined to get his team, I think, back this year. And as I think you got to say the tournament favorite here, Jaden Cohey is going to be a guy everyone's going to be watching. He can do it all. Big guy, plays the point guard spot at 6'4", and really dominates for Walnut Grove. And Vartan Tanalian, this kid, I'm not sure that height's right. But we'll keep going anyway because this is a kid who is a bridge between the front court, the back court. He can play everywhere on the floor, and he is undersized inside, but he never relents. And I think if you watch the heart this kid brings, you know why White Rock's a good team. Tyus Allen, also a great player there, obviously at the point guard spot, and Peter Spengel. That is a nice team to watch. I think Vartan Tanalian can be their heart, on a lot of nights.
All right, we're joined now here with George Oswald here in the studio, and George is the wizard of the draw for the AAA tournament. So, George, talk about this year's draw. Was it an easier draw because sort of the top seeds winning in the Lower Mainland in the Fraser Valley?
From that point of view, yes, it was a much easier draw. The teams that we expected to come to the front, the cream rose, and they, as Howard said earlier, the preseason teams, your Yale, your White Rock Christian, Walnut Grove, and Kitts came through in their zone tournaments. The larger zones, which give you the most teams in the draw, are very strong this year.
Howard, what do you have for George?
Any difficulties in any of the quadrants, George? How lively does the conversation get, or were you guys pretty able to put this thing together, because it does look like a pretty balanced draw?
Well, it was like one of the things you pointed out earlier with regard to with the Churchills and Pitt Meadows and Fox and these teams that traditionally are strong teams having to play on the first day. So yeah, somebody from the Lower Mainland and good teams from the Valley, because of the number of teams, they had to play on the first day. So it was a tough decision.
Yeah, and as I've said to many people, and I think we talked to coaches, even if coaches aren't crazy about the draw, I think what they come down to in the end, George, is they all say, hey, if we want to win this thing, we're going to have to beat everyone that's put in front of us anyway. So even though we've got a great entertainment game there with the Churchill Pitt Meadows, I think both teams figure, hey, this can really get us going. We have to get ready to play Walnut Grove in the next game anyway. Why not play a tough team and try and get through, right?
Right. A few years ago, we had St. George's come through 5 games. Previous time, Pitt Meadows was the first day player, and they went all the way through and won. So it's not uncommon. It has occurred more often recently than not. So even though they may play the first day, they still have a good chance of going all the way. For sure, yeah. St. George's, I remember that great run they made from the wild card spot to go right through and win the whole thing. So. And hit it on the last shot. On the last shot. Wow, Emerson Murray. We'll never forget. Yeah, for sure.
So we are set. We are just over a week away. biggest sporting event, high school sports of the year, the AAA Boys Championship, 20 teams here at the Langley Event Center. Howard Samura tells us Walnut Grove's going to win. Direct emails to him if you think differently. If you're wondering about the draw and you're not happy about that, they go to George Oswald. We're looking, though, forward to seeing everybody here at the Langley Event Center, the home of the high school boys basketball championships. And just over a week away, we'll see you here on Tuesday, March the 12th. Have a good afternoon, everybody. Let the debates begin.
seconds! Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness, wow! What an exciting play!